Here's the podcast script. Iran has struck U.S. sites in Bahrain and Kuwait, even as both sides say they've agreed to halt attacks in the Strait of Hormuz, and that tension between a potential deal and continued hostilities is exactly where things stand right now. Let's break down what's happening. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps announced Sunday that it had targeted a U.S. naval base in Bahrain and a Kuwaiti airbase with drones and missiles, framing the strikes as retaliation for American attacks. But here's the thing, a U.S. official told the New York Times that those Iranian drones and missiles were shot down, intercepted, or failed to reach their targets. The governments of both Kuwait and Bahrain confirmed no casualties. This comes after a week of escalating skirmishes. It started Thursday with an attack on a container ship in waters off the coast of Oman. The U.S. military responded with strikes on Iranian air defense sites and military infrastructure. Then on Saturday, an oil tanker was hit, prompting another round of American strikes. Iran retaliated Sunday. And around it goes. What makes this especially complicated is that all of this is happening against the backdrop of a ceasefire, one that's now 2 weeks old and looking increasingly fragile. The US and Iran have both accused each other of violating it. Analysts say neither side appears eager for a full return to war, but the Revolutionary Guard said in a statement that American bases in the region, quote, will be experiencing hell during these days. President Trump, for his part, said on social media Saturday that the United States would annihilate Iran if forced back into war. Now, the Strait of Hormuz is at the center of all this. This is the narrow waterway between Iran and Oman that normally carries as much as 1/5 of the world's oil supply. Iran had agreed to fully reopen it as part of the ceasefire deal. But renewed skirmishing began last week after that first cargo ship attack, and Iran's foreign minister declared Sunday that his country alone has the authority to manage commercial traffic through the strait. A U.S. official said both sides have now agreed to halt attacks and allow vessels to move freely through the strait again. Technical talks are set to continue on the Memorandum of Understanding that produced the original ceasefire, though the official declined to say when or where those talks would happen. Iran has not yet confirmed the agreement, and in fact, hours later, a member of the office that publishes works of Iran's supreme leader told state broadcaster that Iran had cancelled the technical talks entirely. Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, was in Baghdad on Sunday meeting with senior Iraqi officials. He alleged that the U.S. and Israel had violated parts of the Memorandum of Understanding, calling it a serious obstacle to regional stability. He said Iran was acting in good faith but would respond decisively to any breaches. Meanwhile, markets are watching closely. Oil prices nudged higher Sunday, with Brent crude up just over 1% to more than $73 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate up more than 1% to around $70. Gas prices at the pump have actually fallen slightly, sitting at a national average of $3.87 a gallon, but drivers are still paying about 30% more than they were before the war began. On the Lebanon front, Israel and Lebanon agreed Friday to a U.S.-backed deal that would lead to a gradual withdrawal of Israeli troops from southern Lebanon. But Hezbollah, which is backed by Iran, has rejected that pact, and fighting has continued. Lebanon's health ministry said more than 4,200 people have been killed and over 12,000 injured since fighting between Israel and Hezbollah reignited in early March. On Sunday night, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Katz said the military had destroyed underground Hezbollah infrastructure in southern Lebanon where weapons intended for strikes against Israel had been found. What you're watching right now is a situation where both sides are simultaneously talking and shooting, and the question of whether diplomacy can outpace the violence remains, at this hour, very much unanswered. That's the latest from the Middle East. Stay with us as this story continues to develop.